out-season workout number 2 with me, Coach Becca Kawaoka. Hey guys, Coach Becca here, and I'm excited to have you in my second workout of this series. You'll need a tennis ball today and a set of moderate weights. And as a heads up, you might want a light set and a moderate or a moderately heavy set. So you might need more than one set just based on where you're at. All right, so we're gonna start with injury prevention. Take your tennis ball and you're just gonna roll the bottoms of your feet out. Okay, so start at the heel, work through the arch, get the inside and the outside. Make sure you get all the nooks and crannies on the bottom of the foot there. This is a great drill for runners to do really frequently, or even if you're somebody that works on your feet quite a bit. My dad works road construction and is a farmer, so even somebody like that could benefit from this movement. We'll switch sides here, about 30 seconds per side. If you're somebody that struggled with plantar fasciitis, you'll understand how important this is to do regularly as a preventative measure. So just rolling the feet out, pretty simple, 30 seconds per side. Hopefully you got a chance to do out-season workout number 1, but if you didn't, today should still be very doable for you no matter what level you're at. Let's keep moving here with the injury prevention sequence. Grab the ball that you just used, and we're going to use this for shoulder mobility. Take the ball, inhale and slowly lift that arm straight up overhead. At the very top, rotate the ball away from you, all the way towards the back pocket, and slowly come back the way you came, rotating the ball at the highest point. Here's a side view. Lift up, rotate as much as you can, and reach back. Up again, rotating as you come around and down. CAR stands for controlled articular rotation. So we're working on mobility, the ability to rotate, and control in the shoulder joint. So if you're somebody that swims or does a sport that involves throwing or overhead lifting, or even if you're, say, a flight attendant that does a lot of overhead work, anyone that needs access to their shoulder joint, if you're a grandparent that goes to lift up your kid, you could make this applicable to a lot of activities of daily life. But as a triathlete and a swimmer, that's the most specific, is it's really specific to that swim stroke. Okay, we're gonna do the other side now. I'm doing about 4 per side. That way you could watch me do 1 if you want to, and then do 3 really quality movements. No need to rush when you're doing a CAR. Again, a lot of this purpose, that's where the C comes in control, is that you want to build a relationship with your shoulder joint and think about the movement and the space, or is there soreness, or is there catching, or is there, maybe if you're doing a lot more swimming in your out season, is there, some fatigue built up in the shoulders? Maybe we take a little step away from paddles on one side, or that's, just an example. But that's how I use shoulder CARs. It's kind of like a little mini movement screen each day, especially in the hips and the shoulder joint. Those are ball and socket joints, which means they can rotate a lot. They can do more than almost any other joint. Lots of muscles attach and come through there. So we got to really take care of those hips and shoulders, especially in out season in these winter months. So speaking of the hips, let's move to some pale rail contractions on the ground. So hop on down to all fours. The foot is just 90 degrees out from the hip. I'll show you here from the side. Okay, the instep's pointing down, the foot's flexed. And what we're gonna do is press into the floor for 10 seconds with a strong core. So pull that stomach in. You can see me signaling to my core there. So I'm, tight core, tight glutes. 10-second push down, and then for the next 10 seconds, lift that foot up as high as you can without bending the elbows or babying that leg with the arms. Very good. You might have felt a little bit of a cramp. That's normal. We'll work through that, I'll say. All right, so again, tighten up that core. Let's do a 10-second push or a 10-second pale contraction on the same leg. So we're doing 2 sets of 10-second press to 10-second lift. And let's go ahead and just gently lift that leg up as high as you can. Again, keep the arms strong. And you're just lifting straight up off the floor, keeping that 90-degree angle as much as you can at the hip. So we're doing this obviously for hip mobility, hip control, better range of motion through the hip, especially in that lateral plane of movement. All right, let's try that on the other side. So 2 rounds of 10-second press in or pale contraction into the rail or the lift up. So really push here, really dig in. You want to activate a lot of those muscles or touch base or feel a lot of those hip muscles here, especially the adductor. And then with a tight core and strong arms, lift that leg up. So it's those opposing forces that we're playing upon here to gain more control, gain more understanding, gain more mobility in our hip joint. All right, I'll show you a side view for a round 2 here. I especially think of cyclists and all the movement that they do in their hips and runners, but really, I mean, any sport, any type of movement, you're gonna need strong and mobile hips. We can't be strong where we can't move, so we gotta work on mobility first. Okay, go ahead and lift up. Lift, 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 lift that foot up. I know it's hard. I know there's fatigue there. Hang in there. And rest. Nice job. Again, we can't be strong where we can't move. And this is a big portion of where these movements come from, is to be strong and to be able to move just better and more efficiently, like our joints were intended. Okay, anchor yourself to something. So I'm gonna use my treadmill arm here, and we're gonna work on hip flexion. So I want you to lift your knee up as high as you can off the floor. You can even give it a little pull with the other arm if you want. I'm gonna show you a couple different things here. And if you can slowly baby your arm off of holding on to something, but it takes a lot of balance and core strength too. And really the main goal is hip flexion. So we're just doing about a 10-second hold. I'll show you what it looks like if you don't hold on to something, okay? So this is just me showing you how much of a weakness I have here too. So this is what it'll look like if you don't hold on to something. Eventually we can't quite focus on quite as much hip flexion. So if you have really great, balance, core, strength, etc., you can give that a try down the road. I don't want to take anything away from some amazing athletes that might be watching this. I'm going to do them anchored. Okay, so go ahead and jump in with me here. You can see I lifted that leg up into as much flexion as I could. My foot is flexed, and I'm trying to hold that knee up for 10 seconds as high as I can. So 2 sets of 10-second holds. Okay, so now we're going to move to the other side again. Pull the knee up, and let's just try to hold there, flexing the foot, driving the knee up. It's a 10-second hip flexor isometric. So you're just holding that hip in flexion. Where are my runners at out there? This one's a great one for you. Okay, take a little rest. Deep breath, reset. Again, one more set of a 10-second hold. Please do not be afraid to try it eventually. Like, see, here I go. I'm trying to see where I'm at. You've got to challenge yourself and make a movement work for you today. So don't be afraid to try it without support. Just remember the intention is hip flexion and maximum hip flexion at that. Okay? All right, here we go. Windmill with the ball. So we're going to work on some spine and hip mobility combined. So lift that tennis ball directly overhead. Feel the lat in the back of the armpit. Just make sure that shoulder pack is nice and strong. Rotate and reach towards the floor. And then rotate back up. So watch as I rotate towards the floor. Okay, I rotate the tennis ball slightly. So I'm keeping the tennis ball directly over my shoulder joint. Also notice what my left leg, I'm trying to mirror it there, is doing. You can keep both legs straight if you've got good mobility. We've got 2 to go. But you can also soften the knees as needed. Okay, so you can soften that inside leg if you need to. It all depends on where your hamstring and lower back and spine mobility is at. And that's really what this is working. Spine mobility, shoulder stability with the ball in hand. Again, let's pack that shoulder and feel that lat muscle. Just pull that shoulder into the joint. And see here, I'm just softening my right leg as I reach towards the floor. You don't have to if you've got really flexible hamstrings, but not everyone's in the same place as I am in mobility and flexibility. You might be more or less advanced. So definitely listen to your body, okay? Really focused again on rotating through the spine, rotating at the shoulder, just keeping that tennis ball rooted directly over the shoulder joint as you reach the opposite hand towards the floor. You can tell I like to work in rotation mobility drills because if a joint can't rotate, you're going to run into some trouble. So there we've worked on spine, hips, shoulders, all that, just building the ability to rotate and reach. Okay, bounce ball reach. So we're going to hold the ball. I'll show you a couple ways to do this. This is all demonstration. This is the most advanced version that you could do. Okay, but in general, we're working, the ball is in the opposite hand of the leg that's reaching back. Okay, so level 1, I just want you to reach down towards the ground. The ball's in your right hand, you're sliding your left foot back. So watch me here. Slide the left foot back, right hand reaches to the ground. If this is too easy for you, do the first version I showed you. There's a lot of other middle ground improvements you could do too. You can start to reach the ball overhead as you slide that opposite leg back. The key here is that it's opposite arm to opposite foot, okay? And here's that most advanced version I started with. Right arm goes forward, left leg lifts straight back. And watch here how the core and spine are just staying in a nice straight line. And eventually that back foot is in line with that tennis ball. That's the ultimate goal. So work yourself up. Start with the easy progression and challenge yourself to grow in your stability and hip mobility towards the harder progression. Let's do 2 more here. Just want to show you a front view here. That way you can see that opposite hand to opposite foot coordination. Important for a lot of sports, okay? And a lot of activities of daily life that the opposite hand and the opposite foot can coordinate and work together to complete a movement. Okay, let's go to the other side now. Here's one level that you could do, just sliding the foot back, reaching the ball overhead. You could also just start by reaching the ball towards the ground. That's a little easier, okay? So you can set yourself up with maybe a warm-up there. The most advanced version is obviously an overhead reach on a single leg reach. And you can really see on this side angle here how I'm just softening that balancing leg. That leg is not stick straight. So if you were doing that, make sure you just soften that knee slightly. Stomach muscles are pulled in. This is great for coordination, like I said, opposite hand to opposite foot. It's great for building stability in the ankles, knees, and hips. And it's actually a bit of a hip mobility drill too. So that hip is obviously doing a lot of work in this. Hamstrings are getting some good action. Let's do 2 more. I'll just show you how it looks from the front if that's helpful to you. And at any point, guys, this is the benefit of doing something in your own home. You can just hit pause, rewind, and try again. Great work working through this. This is a tough movement. It doesn't get enough credit. It might look easy, but it's tough. Very good. All right, let's head into the main set today. We've got some fun coming up for you guys, so grab your weights. We're gonna start with the same movement that we did last week. Okay, supersets mean we're gonna do exercise A and then exercise B for a couple rounds. We're gonna start with those deadlifts that we did last time in workout number 1. So you're gonna hinge at the hips. This is a demonstration rep, so this one's not gonna count towards the reps of 12. Okay, hinge at the hips, soften the knees. I'll show you from the side. It's a hip dominant movement, not a knee dominant movement. Stretch the hamstrings, slide the weights down towards the ankles, and stand tall. All right, so let's do 12. Push your hips back like you're trying to touch your butt to an imaginary wall behind you. Inhale, stretch down. Exhale, stand tall. Definitely trying to strengthen the hamstrings and glutes here. Great option would be to put a mirror nearby you. Take a look at the demonstration. Take a look at yourself in the mirror. Check the knees, the hips, and the shoulders. How do they look in relationship to one another after watching me do a couple? A great way to strengthen the hamstrings and glutes. The core is strong at all times. It's a great thing to strengthen your lower back, but that should not be the primary mover in this. The glutes are, okay, and the hamstrings. All right, now we're gonna come down to the floor and do chest flies. So keep the hips and legs flat on the ground. Okay, you're gonna take your light to moderate weights, bring them up. You're gonna open the arms with a very soft angle at the elbows, maybe a 5-degree bend. Once your elbows touch the floor, the movement's done. You're gonna bring those weights back together. Just pretend you're hugging a giant tree on these. So you're gonna open your arms up, wrap your arms around the tree, and then close them up together around the tree. So you want a decent angle at the elbow, right? You want a decent, push there in the chest and the biceps. So you don't need heavy weight for this one. Lightweight is better. Strengthening chest and biceps and using the floor there just to kind of help keep you honest about the movement. If you were on a bench, you could get a little bit deeper. So if you do have a weight bench like I have here to my left, you could do it on a weight bench. You'd get a little bit more range of motion. It could be a little bit more stressful on the shoulder with those. So you might want lighter weight. Okay, back up to our deadlifts. Now, if you have heavier weights at home, You might want heavier weights for the deadlift than for the chest fly, especially if you did workout number 1 and you want to do a little progression. This is a great time to add about 10 to 15%, which isn't a lot. It's a small step up from what you did last week or in workout number 1. So I'm going to go up a little bit. I was using 12-pound weights. I upped this to about 18 pounds. Only went up by about, 5 pounds. And we're doing 12 deadlifts again. We're jumping right into that rep count. So here's number 2 and 3. Again, it's a hip dominant movement, okay, but the knees do hinge a little bit as well. So your knees are not straight. You soften the knees as you hinge at the hips. Soften knees, hinge at hips. A movement like a squat, that's a lot more knee dominant, okay? Knees and hips, lots of flexion. This, mostly hip driven. So just think hip driven, hip driven, hip driven. You could even do this with a broomstick at home if you're kind of nervous about getting the movement right. You could even do this with a broomstick lined up with your spine and do it completely body weight. That way you know your spine's in a good position. All right, and now what I'm going to do is go back to that lighter weight for the chest fly, because deadlifts, or really a lot of movements you do with your legs, you can use heavier weights than when you're training your upper body muscles. I mean, look at them. They're significantly larger than the arm muscles. All right, back to our chest flies or our dumbbell tree hug, and we're going to do 12. I invite you to inhale as you open the arms and exhale as you close the movement. Inhale, exhale. Just a nice smooth tempo. And this superset we are going to do 3 times through, so you've got plenty of time to learn and kind of chew through each of these movements and get better at them as we go. Again, this one's great for the chest muscles, biceps, might feel it right there at the shoulders. Do not have to go heavy here. Again, you want that good stretch in the arms and bring it down. If you have a weight bench, you're welcome to do them there, but like I said in the first round, you might want to do just a touch lighter. Okay, this is our last set of dumbbell deadlifts and dumbbell chest flies. So find the appropriate weight for you for your legs. Again, if you're going to increase in weight, the general rule of thumb is always 10 to 15%. And here we go. Sometimes I tell people this is a little bit like the bend and snap exercise from Legally Blonde. That's a little bit like the Elwood's movement here. You're hinging, that's the bend, and as you stand tall, it's not quite a snap because we're not doing this explosively. It's about, 2 counts down, 2 counts up. But it paints a good picture of where the movement's supposed to happen, and that's at the hips. It might feel almost like you're doing a weighted hamstring stretch, but you are doing that with a slight knee bend too. So again, I'm a big fan of deadlifts. I think it's really beneficial. I think every age needs to learn how to do them. I've taught somebody as young as 12 and as old as 92 how to do a deadlift movement, all obviously with different apparatus, but there you have it. All right, laying flat on the back, let's do those chest flies. Inhale as we open, exhale as we close. And 10 more reps of these and we'll move on to a new superset. Try to use the breath as a way to time a lot of these strength movements. Inhale and exhale to help you pace the movement. Very rarely do you have to rush any faster than what an inhale and an exhale would take you for the concentric and eccentric, or the lift and lower down portions of a lift would be. All right, very good. Moving on to a new set. Don't mind my outfit change. I did have to film this in 2 different days. So here we go. We're going to begin with just a single arm squat to press. So go ahead and hold the one weight at your shoulder and overhead press as you finish the squat. So you're squatting like you're sitting on a chair. Okay, reaching back, and let's do, we're gonna do 10 per side together. Here's number 1. Okay, squat to press. Think about bringing that bicep right to your ear. You don't want that dumbbell drifting out to the side, in front of you, or behind you. Just take it straight over that shoulder. Now, by having the weight on one side of our body, your core is going to get a nice little supportive workout there. So see how my hand's on my trunk there? I was just kind of reminding my core that without my core, I would obviously just fall to one side. Anytime you do a single arm or a weight on one side movement, that's kind of the mini benefit you get there. There's some extra core work. Okay, we're going to do 10 on the other side. Here we go. So just looking for a parallel squat. If you can go lower, that's great. We're not doing a push press, which would be an explosive movement. Those are going to come later on in our series. So it's a nice inhale down and an exhale up. So we're just doing that 2-2 counting, 2 counts down, 2 counts up. So you can say it in your head, 1, 2, 1, 2. There's no rush on these. We're not trying to necessarily get the heart rate up or work any explosive fast twitch muscles. We're just trying to train the legs and the arms. Functionally, that's why we do one weight at a time. It's a nice little variety there. All right, grab your other weight. This is level 1. We're going to do a split stance row. Okay, so you're just pulling the weights up to the armpit with one leg back. That's what it looks like from the front. See how flat that back is? You want your shoulders in line with your hips. Level 2, you're going to keep that leg off the floor the whole time. And let's go right into our 10 reps here. Just pulling those weights up to the elbows. Oh, I guess I wanted to give you a demonstration there. All right, so these ones are for real. Those were all demonstrations. Pick either level 1 or level 2, and let's do 10, you guys. Just inhale, exhale with the movement. Breathe in and out. Try to keep that back leg strong. If you are doing level 2, that's your glutes and hamstrings in charge of that job. And the bottom leg is just, a slightly soft knee there. It's not stock straight. Okay, let's go to the other side. Again, level 1, you'd be here with, still like 10% of your body weight behind you. So it's a good way to work balance. Level 2, you're fully on one leg, 100%. So you can either do fully single leg or split stance. Either way, that's a great way to work on balance or stability while training the upper body. And rows specifically train the upper back, kind of like your posture muscles. I say that often when referring to rows. So there you go. Let's set one weight down, and we're going to do this again. A single arm squat to a single arm press. Good core work, good leg work, good overhead shoulder press work. So you're building strength kind of throughout your entire body. Again, bicep to ear, that weight goes straight overhead. The heart rate might come up just because we're doing a compound movement, which means you're working the legs and the arms, okay? But this isn't what we would call an explosive movement or a push press. I will foreshadow that those are going to be coming later on, so make sure you stick with these workouts and don't skip a week. You want to make sure you stay within the series, okay? Nice work. And press. Very good. Nice little squat to a nice overhead press. All right, well done. We're going to move on to those rows. Again, you can do split stance or you can do single leg. Okay, level 1, you're here. Again, just make sure those shoulders are in line with the hips. Level 2, lift that back leg. I said that rather quickly. Shoulders in line with hips. And you're squeezing between the shoulder blades, pulling the elbows back. You might ask, can I turn the weights so that they're at a different angle? Yes, you can do neutral grip like I'm showing here, where the weights look like an equal sign, or you could do overhand or underhand rows, and that just targets slightly different muscles in the arms. So I invite you to try overhand or underhand rows as well. Both are going to be pulling movements that strengthen the upper back, as well as some other supportive muscles like preps, biceps, and things like that. So changing the grip or the way that you're holding the weights is a nice way to add variety and work other muscles. So if you do this workout again, maybe you try different types of rows. All right, we're done with weights for this workout, believe it or not. Grab a quick sip of water, and we're gonna do some core work now. So we're gonna superset flutter kicks with mountain climbers. There's a little trick I'll show you to your flutter kicks. So come on down to the ground, laying flat on your back. Level 1, place your hands underneath of your lower back. Okay, and we're gonna do flutter kicks there. You can lift the shoulders off the ground for an added push, or keep the neck flat on the ground, your choice, okay? Now, level 2, you're gonna bring the arms overhead into a streamline, and I'm gonna count out 20 of these. So lift the shoulders, and we're gonna do 20 streamline kicks. So this is good for my swim crowd out there, but it's also just a really challenging way to work your core. You're essentially doing a hollow hold while moving the legs. All right, let's take a little breather there. Excellent. We're gonna superset flutter kicks with mountain climbers. So get into a plank position on the hands, and you're gonna slowly drive one knee towards the chest and then the other knee, okay? So keep the hips no higher than the shoulders, and we're just gonna go one leg at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Whew. So that's kind of a run-specific core movement. Let's go back to those flutter kicks. Here we go. So we're doing 20 flutter kicks per side, 20 mountain climbers. Trying to target the core in sport-specific movements here. It goes pretty quick, but they're both pretty challenging. Back to those mountain climbers, drive the knee to the chest. Keep the hips as flat as you can, and you are floating that foot off the ground, so you're not bouncing. Sometimes people push off the ground with their legs. You're not doing that. It's almost like you're doing high knees vertical to the floor. Keep those hips low. All right, last set here. Flutter kicks, level 1 or 2. You can do the hands under the hips or in the streamline position. Try not to flex your wrists if you're doing that streamline hold, because you know you don't want to push off the wall in your streamline with flexed wrists. That'll catch too much water. All right, and one more set of our mountain climbers, and then we're done for the day, you guys. Nice little way to end with some core work here. I've already got the plan for our out-season workout number 3, so I invite you to practice this workout a couple times, maybe go back and forth between workout 1 and workout 2 if you like. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week for out-season workout number 3. Be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on those new workout postings. See you guys soon.